What's going on, guys? Figured I'd just do a little demonstrational video for anybody who's curious why the this is happening. Well, here's your culprit. This little red dot that's located inside the carburetor. But to get to it, you're gonna need some gloves, some pliers, a ratchet, a 1/2 inch, 7/16, 5/16, 1/4 inch drywall screw, and a screwdriver. Start by pulling the air housing off. You got 3 screws, 3 bolts. These are going to be your 5/16. Take your screwdriver, take the fairings off this bad boy. Get your pliers under the clip on this hose. And this is where you're going to use your 1/4 inch socket for the idler. You got 1 bolt here, and you got 1 more on this side that holds the carb in place. It's going to be your 7/16. And you just want to take this throttle empty it best you can. And take the bell off this carb using your 1/2 inch socket. Take this pin out. It's holding the float and the stopper in place. Take your drywall screw, and you are going to try and thread until it pops out that little red piece that I showed you earlier. I already took it out for this part. but that's how you would do it. That's how I did it. Some carb cleaner. You want to clean it out really good in here. If you take a look, you can even see some of the red schmoo that just disintegrated right off of that O-ring. It was rotted in there pretty good. And from that rot, that's why we're leaking gas. Drop the new one right back in. Take a screwdriver. You want to gently press it into place without touching the center of it. You don't want any indentations. The groove side goes down. Peel this whole gasket off, just so it doesn't give you any problems in the future. If you buy the kit, it'll come with all the gaskets. But then again, you don't actually have to do this. This is more preventative maintenance. Get the rest of that schmoo off there, best you can. It's not just good, it's good enough. Take your new O-ring, slap it right back on. Grab your float. And your blocking device. Slide it right back in the grooves. It's going to be a loose fit. Drop it right back down in that cylinder. Put your hinge pin back in. Now, that's where you're leaking from, right there. The reason why is because when the gas comes in here, it fills up into this reservoir, the bell bottom right here, and the float will rise up, bringing that pin with it and stopping the flow on that gasket, so it can't fill that chamber anymore. But when that's broken and the float is no longer stopping the flow, then it just keeps filling until it fills up into this bypass, which goes up and through and out that hole. I would just replace this gasket, but you can use the old one if you want. Half inch. Snug her up and make sure it's perfectly symmetrical. You don't want this thing offset when you screw it down, especially on a new gasket. You want it to seat properly. I'm just going to replace this guy right here. Just because I had it. I'm actually going to try to wick out as much gas as I can because I flooded the out of this thing. And you could see the gas bubbling out of that cylinder. Now you're just going to rethread. The throttle arm. Put this choke arm back on. You don't want to over tighten this thing. And make sure it still moves when you're done. Put those two bolts back down, fixed to the block. I prefer some vice grips over pliers for this step. They seem to work better on these hose clamps. Now, remember, that extra tube goes in the back of the airbox housing. Every time. Just knock it a couple times, make sure that pin seats. Put your fairings back on. You're probably going to want to change the oil if you flood this thing out. I can smell gas. I'm going to change it later. That's for another video.